that's a big one. I was going through the absentee owner with homeowner exemption, and I found several friends in there, and one of my best friends' kid's mother is living in the grandfather's house. Well, I always had all the criteria of an absentee owner mailer, but I recognized the names and said, Skip, they're not selling that house. They just dumped 50 grand into a remodel. So I do scrub my own list. Now, once I have the list, I'm not the one that goes back and pulls stuff out of it. When someone says, take me off the list, all that stuff goes in a folder and Valerie cleans up the list, but I do the initial scrub.
There you go. What do you think? City, code violations, is that an external pressure? Maybe they have not filed a lien, but if they're getting some sort of external pressure to do something to fix their problem, and they don't have the money to do it, you could be a solution for that.
Our first deal was a code violation, and we have one right now that's about to close for 27 grand. It's a code violation.
Property taxes, it's a pretty easy one to get.
Got one of those in our
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, $15,000.
That's
It's
what you
actually
guys
on
worked
sale.
on yesterday.
Yeah.
Are those different campaigns that you guys are marketing to?
Yes, always. You will speak to somebody with code violations differently than you'll speak to somebody with property tax violations. You don't send them, we buy houses any size, shape, condition, anywhere, any problem.
I don't remember a single year going by that my brother has not bought a house right before property tax sale. It seems like an annual, he only buys one. I don't know why he doesn't buy two or three, but it seems like every year he buys one house before the property tax sale. And he narrows his list down to his marketplace, physically drives them all, goes and attacks the one that meet his criteria, and is very consistent, an annual property tax deal.
So he goes and buys it before it goes on the auction?
Yep.
So you go negotiate with the owner?
We
Yep.
have one right now that's going up for sale. The taxes have been paid in 5 years, it's going to sale, and we're buying a house. She wants to sell it before it goes to sale.
Yeah.
It's not gonna change anything, but in her eyes, if it goes to sale, it's a worse situation than selling to us, and she's not getting any money.
Right. So I've been to, let's say, County of San Diego, they have that list that they come out every year in like 2 months before. And then you see it like, they put them up on the board with the owner number, and then as they get closer, they get scratched off.
That's 'cause my brother's been there.
So that's why, that's how.
One year, there was 5 people involved, and I remember Dave jumped on JetBlue Airlines out of Ontario, flew to Memphis, met somebody at the airport, took a 2-hour taxi cab ride from there, got another relative signature, flew from Memphis to San Francisco, got the 3rd signature. There was a 4th person in Los Angeles, the 5th person lived in Rialto, and the house was in San Bernardino. He put it all together, did that in 72 hours, had an extra day left. I bought the property from him, it was on Orange Street, and it was actually in Highland. And I retailed it and made good money on it.
So if it goes on the auction, the owner get nothing.
Well, they get the
So that's-
overage after all costs and expenses.
Right.
But there's so much administrative garbage that they eat up in that there.
They get nothing.
Yeah, they get nothing.
So, again, going back to psychographics, when during the year do people need money?
Tax season.
Christmas, tax season.
Christmas and taxes. So what if you pulled up all the people who missed their last property tax payment, hopefully have some equity because you scrubbed for that as well, and you mailed them late November and mid-March? Might you get a better response than mailing to them in January or June? Right?
Timing.
Think about the situations and the catalyst that might cause people to need to sell. Public records. Here's some of the easy ones that you can go get. Probate. Inherited. How'd that work out for you, Patrick?
Inherited? Not so well. I think we know that.
There is an inherited list. There's a broker that sells an inherited list. I would not use theirs, but I might test pulling my own. And it's the way you find that is a affidavit of death of joint tenant is the transfer type. And you might, again, scrub for equity. Maybe they're both dead. Maybe it's that with probate. But that would be one that you could find directly in the public records.
I was mentioning earlier, for when you close a probate, if property is distributed out, there's called an order for final distribution. So you then record the order in the county recorder's office, and that what transfers the property that's described in the order for final distribution, so that's something people can also look for and suspect.
Last step of the probate.
What's that?
That's the last
That
step
is
of the
correct, yeah.
Order for final distribution.
Write this down.
Write it down. I'm busy.
Write it down.
I'm busy.
Good job. Write it down.
What is it?
I'll write it down for you.
NODs, notice of default, public information. It's also really, really easy to get now, thanks to Foreclosure Radar.
Is anybody doing, I mean, maybe not here, but like the last 3 year, properties that transferred in the last 3 years and are in default? We should look into that.
What was
Find
that again?
something too.
Slower? What was?
Properties that transferred in the last 3 years
Okay.
and have an NOD filed on them.
Oh, but now I would.
Sold
So
or
they
transferred?
bought it in the last 3 years and now it's in default. So they've got a 30-year, 4% interest only,
Good financing,
fixed
right?
rate, fully amortized loan.
No
That's what
equity.
you're after. You're not after equity, you're after
You're
financing.
not after equity, you're after $500 a month fully amortized payment that would rent for $1,100 or $1,200.
It's probably tough to start time to start looking for those. I remember we said actually at the end of last year, we were gonna start looking at those.
Start looking at those.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think the market's stable enough that, you know,
Those
if it goes
people
down
lose
to
their jobs.
5%. Yeah, people lose their jobs, exactly.
And they haven't made it illegal to die yet, so. other than that.
So again, thanks to Foreclosure Radar, this list used to be a little more difficult to get and less competitive, but there's so much information out there with Foreclosure Radar and just the internet in general that it's highly competitive. But if you paired the whole NOD list down to people with equity, or even better, cross-referenced it with something else that you were working. So somebody mentioned earlier NOD and probate. Oh, that's a great idea. You might get 5 out of 5,000, but are those 5 pretty valuable if you got one of them? Yeah, you're gonna pull some fat deals out of there. Bankruptcy. The guy that we're buying a house from right now is in bankruptcy. He's got equity.
Well, he had equity, we're taking it all.
Right, it's on our
We've
side of the
got
balance
equity.
sheet now.
He's got BK, we got equity.
Divorce. People get divorced in California, in the United States, all the time,
Yeah, we
right?
got
Is
that
that a
too.
problem for them? Do people with equity get divorces? Absolutely.
I have a lady right now, it's 8 houses, she's going through a divorce.
What's that?
I have a lady I'm talking to, she has 8 houses and she's going through a divorce.
Ryan, do you, follow the BKs at all?
Not lately. I tested it like when I first learned about it, but it was like actually the mark was already going down.
And how did you go, what angle did you use to get your BK info? Was it from Pacer?
No, actually, that's free. Now I probably would use something like Pacer. It was from a list broker at the time. Yeah.
I did BK, they had no luck with it at all, 0.
No, Reggie Lyle had a great BK program going, and he was cross-referencing with the foreclosures, and he was merging the foreclosure list with the data he got from Pacer.
What's
Nice.
Pacer?
Website that has all of the bankruptcies on it.
It is the Federal Bankruptcy Court website. It's free. You have to sign like a disclosure or something that you're going to be private with the information or something like that, but I don't remember what the disclosure is. So you might want to read it. It might say you can't mail to them. But you can look up anybody in the country, by name, social security number. I forgot what the
Case number
case number, right. Yeah, you can look up all kinds of stuff in Pacer.
or date of filing.
Right. Details about their case, who their creditors are. So yeah, there's that. I'll find all that information on Pacer and probably cross-reference that with something else.
Yeah, I don't think it's free, I think it's about 8 cents a page, there's a certain amount that's free every quarter, and then it's 8 cents a page or something.
If you print them,
Oh.
you can actually read the case filings online.
Okay.
Actually, the guy that we're buying a house from right now, after he agreed to sell us the house, he's like, oh yeah, I filed bankruptcy a month ago. It's like, thanks. I went on Pacer. I said, did you give the attorney the paperwork, or did he actually file it? He said, I don't know. I went on Pacer. He hadn't filed yet. So a guy called the attorney. Attorney said, buy the house and then we'll file.
Good.
So, but Pacer is, I forgot how up to the minute it is. It's,
But yeah, they do
That's
charge
right.
you, but at the end, every quarter they send me we waive your charges because they're so small, they don't, I don't end up paying anything.
Yeah.
okay.
I have a credit card on file of that maybe 6 years ago, and they never charged me.
Never charged.
I don't so many, but they still, yeah, you're right, 8 cents per page,
Yeah.
printing out something.
So I would cross-reference that with something else probably. Talking about divorce, unlawful detainers. Mike was talking about burned out landlords. They have a problem that they probably don't want to deal with. Now, I will say that somebody who has filed a UD has taken some action. So they're a little bit more motivated to get their problem resolved, but they still got a problem nonetheless. They may get the house and it's a wreck. You get the house back and it's a wreck. And now they don't want to deal with that. They were willing to deal with the tenant, getting them out, but maybe the tenant did $5,000 in damage that they don't have.
What if you only look for UDs filed by attorneys, like eviction attorneys? That might be somebody out of state and they called up and they can't even do the eviction themselves, they're having somebody else do it.
Yeah, you go down to the court, you file a UD by yourself, you're pretty savvy, I think, or at least pretty motivated.
And you're in town, you're local.
Right.
You have to go down to the courthouse to pull that.
Yeah.
Savvy or cheap?
No, actually, there's somebody,
You can do online too. One time I had a case. I went online in San Bernardino County and they had right there, and I found what was the result of the contest or not. Yeah, you can do online.
What about property listed on the MLS as a lease, not a for sale? Because they go to the agent to handle everything for them.
probably some opportunity there. Code violations, not easy to get. My understanding is that you have to get them from each specific city and not the county, and there are no list brokers that I know of that sell them. But I'm actually going somewhere with the difficulty in getting these lists. Last one, delinquent taxes, is pretty easy to get. But the harder to get, the better the opportunity. So if you're the guy willing to figure out how to go down to the courthouse and get this information, because nobody's selling it easily, like foreclosure radar, for UDs and BKs and divorce. Those, remember we talked about the people who are being neglected? These are the people who are gonna be being neglected from a marketing standpoint. They've got property, they've got a problem that you know how to solve.
Can I also just mention one other thing? You know, for people who die with trusts rather than individually where they're going through probate, the document that
Intestate, is that what it is?
No, if they have a living trust that owns their house, the way you find that out, if they're doing it right, is there'll be something called an affidavit of death of trustee or affidavit of change of trustee that's recorded. And years ago, I called up a couple title companies, and it was, all they could really give me was affidavits. So it was every frickin' affidavit around. It really didn't make it meaningful. But I don't know if it's gotten any better, or if somebody wants to take a look at it, you got the affidavit of death of joint tenant, and if you see affidavit of change of trustee, that means that somebody died with a trust, and that's not gonna otherwise come up.
Right, it's not gonna be a probate situation.
Yeah. So something else you could, again, I don't know how easy it is to get that, but give it a shot.
What's the name again?
It's generally called either affidavit of change of trustee or affidavit of death of trustee, depending on what lawyer prepares it.
So again, the harder to get, the better the opportunity. All of this information is publicly available. If you put in the time, or you pay somebody to put in the time, go down there and get this information, and probably be best to merge it against something else. I guarantee you will pull big deals out of it. Lists, we talked about testing. I think I heard Mike say this earlier. Always, always, always test your list. Example is if you order a list from a list broker and the list has 8,000 addresses in it, my recommendation is to test 10% of that list. Pull out 800 random addresses. Don't pull out the first 800, don't pull out the last. Pull out every 10th or something. And put together 10% of this list and test it. Put it on your full campaign schedule. Make sure the list is good. Right, Patrick?
Yes, sir.
Guess some will suck, don't they, Patrick? I know I bought the same list. So test, measure your results, tweak one variable. We talked about this earlier, I heard Aaron talking about this. You're not gonna know what worked if you go change your sales letter in 5 different places. You're not gonna know what was the one thing that made the difference and made them call, or got you a better response. So only tweak one thing at a time. And repeat. Message. You guys wanna take a break? Are you good?
4:30.
Huh?
4:30 should just fall through. Am I clock wrong?
Yeah, your clock's way
The
wrong.
clock's way wrong, it's 2:30.
Oh, it's just 4:30 a.m.
It's not that either.
Way wrong.
2:30.
Sorry.
Is good?
Go ahead.
You good?
All right. Message, what to say.
4:30.
Second most important thing, we went over this already somewhat this morning, but here are, actually I wanna go back to some first. A lot of people will come up to me and ask me, what are you sending? What does your postcard say? Can I get a copy? My answer is always no, for the same reason that Mike gave. Because it is my contention that the list is more important than anything. And what you say is less important. It's the fact that you get something in front of them. We've got some good copy. Aaron and I spent a lot of time writing it. I'm gonna go through and show you what the critical elements are that need to be in every marketing piece. But if you just took these few things and did them in your own words, in your own way, you don't need to be a marketing expert or some kind of, genius to get the phone to ring. What you need to do is get something in front of them. That's where people drop the ball. Where Aaron and I excel is that we send probably more mail than anybody I know. I just told you, we're up to our last report was 212,000 pieces. It's a lot of mail, and a lot of data, and a lot of results that we've gotten feedback on that we can now share with you. But least important of that is, maybe not least important. Least important is the media, but the message is not so much important as the what. So I could give a copy of everybody in this room, the primary marketing piece that we use. I'm not gonna have the same results for you, I promise. So that's why we don't give that out. You should get something out in your own words, like Mike said, in your own voice, so that when they call, they know they're talking to the same person. Here's the other problem with that. Who here is interested in San Bernardino market right now?
Everybody.
Right? So if I gave a copy to you, and 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 you all sent it to San Bernardino, and we sent it, we're just saturating the market with exactly the same thing. So, but I will show you what we do, which is probably more important. I said this to Paul the other day. I'm more of the teach a man to fish philosophy rather than give him one and feed him for a day. So here's what needs to be in your marketing message, in anything that you send out. I saw this missing a lot. Headline, USP. And all the sales letters that we saw today, I didn't see any headlines. I have a problem with that, personally. Go ahead.
I have a philosophy on that, and if you're writing a letter to a friend, you normally don't use a headline. And I've wrestled with that one back and forth, and I don't use a headline.
See, Mike's position and his marketing is, I'm writing a letter to a friend. Definitely not our position. Ours is very different. We're here to buy houses, and we take a different position when we're speaking to people. But I totally get that. You're right, you wouldn't, have big bold letters across the top of the letter when you're sending a letter to your grandma.
So headline is like the first line that catches their attention, make them read further, make them think.
I will tell you a story about headlines in a second.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Compelling offer. Why should I pick up the phone and call you? I'm busy. I don't want to deal with my problem. Why should I pick up the phone and call you? Compelling offer. Benefits. We always hear about features and benefits. We're going to talk about that. Emphasis through cosmetics. Kind of iffy, maybe not so important, but I'm kind of a creative guy and I like doing stuff like that. So I'll show you some things that we do use for emphasis for cosmetics, and it's not just underlining. Personalization, I think, is extremely important. You're going to get a much higher response rate when you personalize what you're sending out versus we buy houses. Dear property owner. be behind on payments, you got a piece of crap house, you got a property you don't want, you got bad tenants, are you on probate?
You did.
You did.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And a call to action, your CTA. I see this missing a lot in a lot of marketing pieces. It's funny when you really start studying marketing, you know you're getting good when you start tearing other people's marketing apart. I see people, God, this drove me crazy. On the way to the chiropractor, on the 91 freeway, there was a billboard that was there for,
Is that the doctor one, the medical one?
yes,
There's no phone number or anything on that thing. It's ridiculous.
Not even a name.
It drives me nuts too, yeah.
there's no phone number, there's no call to
Nothing.
action. What am I supposed to do? Thousands of dollars.
I see, it drives me nuts every time. It's so funny that you mentioned that.
I've seen an America's Tires with apostrophe s.com. So
It's not
I'm like,
tires.
do I put the apostrophe in the website? Because I don't think you can do that. And it's a huge billboard that I see too.
But it's a billboard with nurses, like our nurses make the difference.
Cartoon characters, and that's it.
And that's it, I'm just like,
There's no
all right.
address, there's no address, there's no website, there's no phone number. If I am bleeding on the side of the freeway, how am I gonna know where to go?
It's for a local hospital,
Yeah.
but they left all the contact information off and it's been up there forever. I mean, that's like $5,000 a month on the side of the 91. No information on there. That's so
Absolutely.
funny that you mentioned that. I see it all the time on the way to the gym. It drives me nuts.
Absolutely no call to action.
I wanna go up there and spray paint like 800.
Put your number.
So a call to action, we're gonna talk about different ways to get people to respond.
Offer expire by December, blah, blah, blah.
That's
That's
the
the call
deadline.
to action.
Deadline, different. Mike's gonna miss my story.
It's got smoke, dude.
I'm gonna tell him
You should have
about.
taken a break. Take a break then.
All right.
You guys wanna take a break? Take a break.
Mike breaks, we break.
No, anybody have a razor with a charger
Like,
with them?
oops, we
By
do.
any chance?
Is it a standard charger?
Yeah, it's a standard.
Oh, he's got it. I burnt it out fly fishing during lunch.
And during the last hour.
Hey, lemonade.
Probably close to the
Yeah, you could. All that heavy drinking finally catches up to you.
Whoa. Oh, look at that, that's awesome.